Good afternoon. Good afternoon to all our listeners here in St. Kitts and Nevis, and of course, those listening abroad, those in the diaspora. Good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of Voices here on WinFM 98.9. I am your host again, Devonne Cornelius. Today is Thursday, November 5th, 2020. And a lot of things are happening, not just here, but regionally and internationally. Today, the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines are going to the polls to elect a new government, and so a lot of things are really happening across the region. We also have the elections in the United States. Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Some people say I'm supporting Donald Trump. Some say I'm supporting Joe Biden. I ain't supporting nobody. Whoever wins, wins. I ain't supporting nobody. I mean, at the end of the day, it will affect, what happens here in the Caribbean. But I am standing by. I'm standing by, and I am waiting to see what the outcome will be. However, thus far, Joe Biden is leading. He has a wide margin. He has 264, and Donald Trump is stuck at 214. Joe Biden thus far has received 50.4% of the votes. That is 72,219,120. And Donald Trump has received 68,715,394. And so a lot of things are really happening in the US with this election. Donald Trump has filed he said he is going to the court. He said he is going to the court. So let's see what's going to happen. Let's see what's going to happen. We're just going to take a short break to acknowledge our sponsors, and we will be right back, where we will head right into the program. Thank you.
Get ready for Christmas at Hospice Building in Nevis Center. Massive Get Ready for Christmas 3-day weekend clearance sale. This Thursday, November 5th to Saturday, November 7th with 25% off store-wide on all discountable items. Get ready for Christmas with great deals, great savings, great discounts at Hospice. This 3-day weekend clearance sale, Thursday, November 5th to Saturday, November 7th. 25% off store-wide on all discountable items. Hospice, get ready for Christmas 3-day weekend clearance sale. 25% off store-wide on all discountable items. Don't miss it. Terms and conditions apply. See stores for details.
Yes, good afternoon again, and welcome back to Voices here on WinFM 98.9. I'm your host for today, Devonne Cornelius, and I want to say a special good afternoon to all our usual listeners, to those tuning in for the first time, welcome to this program. As per usual, we're going to have our normal and usual open discussion where we will be entertaining some calls, where we will be talking about a number of things happening here in St. St. Nevis and, of course, across the region. And so I look forward to your calls. I look forward to your comments and your views. This is Voices, and it is a chance for you to hear your voice on a number of things that are happening. Before I continue, I would just want to use this opportunity to extend heartfelt condolences on the passing of Mrs. Judy Williams Hanley of Bath Village, Nevis. Quite an unfortunate incident occurred early this morning in Nevis, and on behalf of my family, I would just want to extend heartfelt condolences to her family. I knew Mrs. Williams Hanley as we go to the same church, and I saw her on a regular basis. I know she works at the Department of Labor in Nevis, and I saw her on a regular basis, whether passing through town. She would usually stand there by the post office just to go up there through the alley to head to work at mornings, and I would see her regularly at church. And so I know Mrs. Williams Hanley very well. So again, my condolences to the family, and I trust that you would find some comfort in this time of your storm. So welcome to this edition again of Voices, and as per usual, it's an open discussion. We're talking about a lot of things here today, but the focus would be more so about the elections that are taking place. We have the U.S. elections, and we have the elections in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. But we have a caller. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, good afternoon. I think it's that.
Sorry, good afternoon.
Yeah, was it you who hosted the program yesterday?
Yes, it was me.
Okay, I tried to get in. Well, I tried calling, I couldn't get in to back up your two last caller, which is Africa and Mrs. Henry. Now, I respect both of their views concerning spirituality and Christianity and all that. For me, according to the Bible teaches us that God is a spirit. And if Miss Henry is listening, I would like her to call in, and because I'm forever learning, and because of the fall of man, the first man sinned, so death became to humanity. That's my understanding of the scriptures. Now, God is a spirit, and we cannot see a spirit. He sent his son came in the flesh. Now, the question of color comes in there. According to what Africa was saying about a white Jesus, now I can tell myself, well, God is still a spirit. Miss Henry is saying that there is Christian. I can't recall reading when Jesus came and when he taught the people. I can't ever recall ever reading anywhere in the Bible where it says he tell them to be Christian or Catholic, all those kind of different denominations. So, like I said, I'm ever learning, and I just like if they can, shed some more light on these things, because it's a complex issue in the sense that no one, and the Bible also said that no one has seen God face and live. Yet, it says Moses saw him face to face, I think, in the burning bush, something like that. I can be corrected, but, this issue, with all that is happening right now, with the oppression of black people and the question of whether Jesus was white or black, I can say, well, color doesn't matter, or because of the fact that, God is a spirit. And I think the point that what I was understanding from Miss Henry and Africa yesterday is that a spirit is something that is very quiet because you cannot see it, you can't hear it. And also Christianity, the way they worship is loud, and, the speakers, the airwaves and everything. So if Africa and Miss Henry is calling, and even Greg, because Greg is quite knowledgeable about these subjects, I would like to hear some enlightenment on my thoughts, and if they can shred something that would help me, because, when I look at our history and things that was done, the way it was done way back then, there's a big question as to how the switch became, and the issue of, in the Bible says, if we had obeyed, we would have been the head and not the tail. We would have been the lender and not the borrower. So those are my thoughts. And if African Miss Henry is listening, I would like them to help me out here, okay? Thank you.
Thank you so much, caller, for your input here on Voices. You are listening to FM 98.9, and I'm your host, Devonne Cornelius, for today. We are talking about a lot of things. We are mainly focusing on the U.S. elections and, of course, the elections that are taking place in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And so the lines are open. The lines will be open for the next, until the show ends. So you have that opportunity to call in and let us have a discussion. We have another call. Good afternoon, caller. You're on Voices.
It's Cornelius. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Make up a monster. Mr. Cornelius, we want to send something to Mr. Bacchus. You can give me a WhatsApp number.
Pardon?
We want to send something for Mr. Bacchus. Full look on. You can give me a WhatsApp number.
I can give you the number for the office. I suggest you
no problem.
Call us at 469. Wait, give me one moment.
469. Go ahead. 469.
Yes, it's 469-9956. But let me just confirm. When you hang up, I will confirm that. So you can give us a call.
9956?
Yes.
Okay. And to the caller there, Jesus no come no human. God put on flesh. So the human part, that no me Jesus, still remain on spirit. All right? I get confused with this black and white foolishness. Me 100% man and 100% God. You have to deal with the God part where the spirit and not the human. It manifests itself, not the human flesh. So the black and white is not one issue here. And the good work, that's how you deal with. Okay then.
Yeah.
May wait for the number.
Yes, the number is 466-9586.
466
9586.
86. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, caller, for your input here on Voices on 1FM 98.9. Okay. We are still taking calls. And we are talking about the U.S. elections. So Donald Trump is not leading. So to all the Trump supporters out there, sorry to disappoint you. Donald Trump is not leading. Biden is ahead, and Biden is expected to be the president. But we have another call. Good afternoon, caller. You're on the air.
Hey, good afternoon, my brother. How are you doing?
Good afternoon, Mrs. Henry. I'm doing quite fine.
Well, child life, because you're a child now. I suppose I could be your mother. Lord, I fell asleep in there watching the debacle in the USA. You wonder when will politicians think of anybody else outside of themselves? And the forces have begun to line up in the streets and outside the counting booths areas. Now, all of these worrying. If you pick up a Bible, he came unto his own, he was a Jew. I mean, everybody old enough now to know he was not a white man. So I don't know why we hanging on to what we know is not true. He was a Jew. We have all kind of manipulation. Just because we don't want to believe, And you have the internet. You can research. You'll find pro, con, in between, all kind of story. Take up the Bible and read. You have the Acts. You have the Gospels. You have the epistles. Read. The word Christian. All a Christian means is a descriptive noun, if you want to call it so. It described the person who's a follower of Jesus. They were called the Way. TH is a way. And later on, they were called Christians. Because the people said, well, these people are followers of Jesus Christ. Christ means Messiah. It was not his title. Not like Sylvie and Henry. Christ means Messiah. And he was a Jew. The white and the black story. We are allowing the enemy to confuse us, The Bible says, when they knew God, they don't worship him as God, but their foolish hearts were darkened. And the God of this world have the mind blind. Take up your cell phone, go on the internet, and check out all the good, the bad. That's how I do research, I don't research on one side. I want to know what other people say. What did he say? And they use the Old Testament, which you also have, to back up. He knew why he came. And we argued, he was a spirit, he wasn't a spirit, and all of that. The point that you're supposed to know is that there is no salvation outside of Jesus Christ. You could go to India, you could go to Africa, you could go to Asia, you could go to North and South America. God has already declared, it's simple now. Up to this morning when I woke up, it was on my mind. Joshua gave a challenge. And it's the same challenge I give to everybody. Before the cross, Joshua said, choose you today who you will serve. You're not going to serve Jehovah God, or you serve the gods of Egypt, which a lot of us proclaim. We have the gods of Egypt. We know all about them because they're written in the African books. Or the God of Jehovah. Nobody can make you or reason you into choosing who you want. You must make up your own mind. Choose today if you want to serve Jehovah God, or if you want to serve all the gods that your father had. As simple as that. Find out who is Jehovah. You go in the book of Isaiah, he proclaims who he is. The outline. He said, I am this and they are that. Wood and stone and all kind of imagination. I am this. Check out what he says. This criteria. When you apply for a job, you have to send your resume, And he has his resume there, so you either believe it or you don't believe it. The Bible says, he that believeth shall be saved, and he that believeth not shall be damned. As easy as that. And nobody could prove nothing to you if you don't decide. Oh, well, I just leave him alone. Choose you today. Today, November 5th, Guy Fawkes Day, who you will serve. And we hankering about the white man and the white man. Darling, Jesus didn't come to the white man, in case you never know. We got all these things screwed up. He came unto his own, the Jews. And Paul and Peter, and they spread the gospel to the Gentiles. Gentiles mean not a Jew. We either believe it or we don't believe it. Nobody can make you believe, Cleon, Devonne. You read the gospel and you believe. You read it or you don't believe. Simple. You could check all the history of Egypt you want, all the Africa you want. The choices choose you today. If you're going to serve Jehovah God, if you're going to serve the Egyptian gods, the African gods, the Indian gods. I hear people on the radio, they will drag down Christianity and then pick up a six-hand God. I went to India and I still am walking and I said, Lord Jesus, have mercy. I visited a temple in India. I went to Gujarat, Ahmedabad. Those of you who know about India. I went to a Hindu temple. And in the middle of the floor was this a large table. They put all kind of food there for the guards to eat. While up and down around the compound of the temple are all kind of children running around and people begging. And the food spread out in there on the table for the guards, you know. I mean, rice and Devon, you understand?
Right.
And you see when they have a parade with the elephants and they bring the guard thing and so. I say, you see, some of us want that. You go to Africa, Africa got the guards, your family got the guards and whatever. But choose you this day who you want. If you don't know, read your Bible from Genesis to Revelation and read other things about it. Because they got for and against. And the black and the white. He ain't come from the black and the white people, and he come for everybody. Salvation is available for everybody, but you got to believe it or not. It might sound, the Bible says, to the man who don't believe it is foolishness. The gospel is foolishness to him who don't believe. But to us who believe, it is the power of God unto salvation. So you choose. I made my choice when I was 13. I had plenty opportunity to give it up. Plenty. Challenge. I went to university, right? And, of course, I enrolled in economics.
Right.
And my lecturers, because economics, a lot of socialists and things and so. And George Beckford, I don't know if you ever the name George Beckford, he wrote Persistent Poverty. One of our top intellectuals. And I was looking at these people, I said, I mean, in and out of the crazy of some alcoholism, when anti-man is something else, when this is, look at the out of the head ain't good. I went to a lecture one day. He invited this Clive Thomas, I think it was, from Guyana University. And I didn't realize the man was unstable, Beckford. Invite the man from Guyana to come and give, talks called campus to campus.
Yes.
And a student also got up and asked a question. I hear more bad word than done by a rum shop. The man, the professor from Guyana was so embarrassed. They invite the man, And because he's not saying what they want, and I said to myself, if these are the people, the intellectuals, who one of them had said to me, Miss Henry, are you Christian? Because you have on campus university and Christian fellowship. Oh, I think you're Christian, you ain't no better than the fishermen them. Are you singing and praising God the same way? At least we're in the right mind. At least we're in the right mind. And all they could talk about, even with the same bishop thing, no regard for life. When I heard the stories on campus about people who had taken part in the 1980 thing, I went 82. And you hear about how they dig. Some of them all heathen there. Because they're backing the socialist and the communist thing. People were buried alive in Jamaica. You had to say who you're backing. You understand? So when they're talking, they said that the merciful, go read Matthew 5, you see what Jesus different to them. On campus, to Manuel and them. If you hear the stories, a young man used to be walking around campus out of his head. And they said, you know what happened to the young man? They used to do the killing and he used to help out. Hundreds were slaughtered in Jamaica, under this kind of socialist thing. And one day they ordered him to go home and kill his uncle. He was joining in the killing gang, right? You must choose your side. And when the boy, because he lived with his grandmother and his uncle, when they give him the order, he couldn't take it, he went out of his head. And the boy up and down on campus with a stick, like how like this young Rasta, up and down with a stick. And one was there pushing Cuba, one day challenged him. I said, since you're talking so much about Cuba, why you don't go Cuba go live then? He said to me, me not going to call down there because I like freedom of speech. But listening to the lectures, you will swear that Cuban saw it next to heaven. I choose Jesus. I don't care what nobody say. I have proven him for myself. So I don't have to ask nobody, and I am not into the white and the black God. If you want your God black, you black. You want him white, he white. White Christians have done a lot of injustice, not sanctioned by God. You must, just like our politicians will come in the sweet talk and next thing they turn around. People out there doing things not sanctioned by anybody.
Right. Thank you.
All right then.
Right. Thank you so much, Mrs. Henry, for your input here on Voices on WinFM 98.9. We are continuing this discussion and we are still taking your calls. Continue to call us here and share your views and of course, voice your opinion. So, we're going to take this call. Good afternoon, caller. You're on the air.
Hello, good afternoon, Mr. Cornelius. How are you today?
Good afternoon. I'm doing quite fine. And you?
I'm good, thanks. This is Sendai Maui.
Awesome.
For the fact that I speak English and my origin is not of the English part, originally.
Caller, could you speak up a bit? I'm not hearing you clearly.
Yes, I say for the fact that I use a word, I say Tendai Maui. It is a Shona word from Southern Africa, but I have chosen because English would not have been my original tongue, albeit, yes, I speak English today, and we know the story, and so I tend to go back, we say Sankofa, and however, which one way, one could say borrow, someone challenged me and say it's not a borrow, you probably, taking, extrapolating from a native tongue, from your origin, and using the expression. It would be remiss of me to not shed certain light on certain things. I do not, I am this not, and I ought not, and I will not attack anyone's faith, but like everything else. And we have thrown things out of the window from time to time. But as a little boy going to church, I would have heard the expression of the Judeo-Christian faith. And everything has its origin somewhere. And by that expression, the Judeo-Christian faith, in linguistics, you would have heard like the Semito-Hamito, or the Hamito-Semito. Today, one will say the Afro-Asiatic languages and so forth. That's just to explain certain things. Certain things is linguist in linguistic expression, and certain things would have referred to someone's ethnicity. Albeit, make a long story short, the very first time the word Christian was used, and I'm going to piggyback on the Judeo-Christian aspect, it was always a borrowing. When you said Judeo-Christian, the Jews were there, and it seemed as if Christianity emanated from a branch of Judaism and the like, even though Judaism was created in Babylon. Okay? But albeit, with that as it may, we say that. Okay? So, the Judeo-Christian, when the Greeks under Alexander and the Ptolemy conquered that part of Rome and the Alexander and the Greek Empire was fragmented or segmented among the four generals, the Ptolemy established and controlled certain parts of Egypt and that part of the world, like certain parts of the Mediterranean. And they established, and they wanted, that is why there was a city named off of Alexander the Great, which was Alexandria, on the Mediterranean coast of the Egyptian, of Egypt, modern day Egypt today. And they wanted to be inserted so badly into the spiritual system that they brought their ideologies of the Greek Hellenistic form, and they wanted to insert it into the traditional way of certain priests. Now, it was the Melchite of the order, say like certain order, because there were so many other temples. You know, we had Upper and Lower Egypt, Karnak temple, and Memphis, and the like, and the like. And so they wanted to be in you know, a part of the spiritual aspect of it, being outsiders, being what we call neophytes, they're outsiders, and so they forced the priests, even with certain Jewish persons, forced them to do things from the many scrolls that was found, thousands and thousands and thousands of scrolls that was in that library that they created, the Alexandrian Library. And they wanted to insert it so badly into the spiritual system that they came up with a concoction. And the name that they came up with was Serapis. Serapis now was a concoction of Osiris, one of the Greek and deity, and Apis, the bull. Serapis. Serapis. If you understand the etymology, you could see the slicing of both words that they inserted into. So when that cult was created, the authorities would have written from different provinces and refer to these people who is in the cult and to the bishops who are in the cult of the Serapis thing. And you could see the image of Serapis with the beards and the Greek beards and the Hellenistic form that came down through the centuries. Came down through the centuries until Michelangelo was commissioned and the like to do certain painting and the like of that image. And those people, the very first time, the referral was referred to those people as Christians. Now it's carried over from one dispensation to the other. And so the very first time the name Christians were used, were referring to. How can we extrapolate, how can we divide those in the cult of Serapis to those who would have been genuine Christians or genuine persons who probably have taken on the name Christians, like they were called the Nazarenes and the Ebonites and different sects of the Judah, you know, because they have the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom, and they had like James the elder and certain disciples who would have stayed stick to the traditional way, as Mrs. Henry said, Jesus came to his people. That rightly was so. And those who would have been going away and seeing it, those who would have accepted where you have to be circumcised, and those who would have gone away, and so forth. So it's a conglomeration of a lot of corruption that we have in heritage today. I just wanted to show that in. Yesterday I made a contribution pertaining to one example. I did not go into it, but I used the Mormon Assembly. I could have used another person, but that came to mind. And I used the Mormon Assembly. Did not want to delve into the Mormonism, but I just used the Mormon Assembly in terms of the solemnity, the way I would watch television and see how the hymns and the way they worship as compared to more like Pentecostals in these local churches where the clapping and the gyration because of the invigoration and the movement of our people is more like spirited. That was the comparison I made. I did not use the Mormon because I wanted to delve into Mormonism. I know who Joseph Smith was, and so forth. So the Christian origin goes back to just starting with the genuine persons of who were called out to be the disciples. That name came from the the Ptolemaic under the Greek long before the Christendom era.
Right. Thank
And
you.
then
Right.
it came into certain documents to certain dogma that they accepted, like from the 25 AD, the councils, the seven councils, ecumenical councils, as they were called, started from Ephesus and other areas. The Nicene Council, 325 AD, when Constantine assembled all the bishops with all their scrolls, and he decided what scroll to keep and what not to keep. That is why in places like Nag Hammadi and Qumran, places scrolls were found, and they were written in the Bantu language. They were written in the Akan languages, many languages on the African continent, which is considered to be the African continent today. It was more encompassed, a more vast area. The so-called Middle East was a part of where Turkey dwells today. Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much, caller, for your input here on Voices on 1FM 98.9. We are going to take a short break, and when we return, we will continue to take some calls to hear your views on what's happening here in St. Kitts and Nevis.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
Get ready for Christmas at Hospice Building in Neva Center. Massive Get Ready for Christmas 3-day weekend clearance sale. This Thursday, November 5th to Saturday, November 7th with 25% off store-wide on all discountable items. Get ready for Christmas with great deals, great savings, great discounts at Hospice. This 3-day weekend clearance sale, Thursday, November 5th to Saturday, November 7th. 25% off store-wide on all discountable items. Hospice, get ready for Christmas 3-day weekend clearance sale. 25% off store-wide on all discountable items. Don't miss it. Terms and conditions apply. See stores for details.
Good afternoon. Welcome back to Voices. We have a caller on the line. Good afternoon, caller. You're on Voices.
Yes. You hear me clear?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Yeah. First, let me say this. Mr. Nicol used to host a program, right? And more than once, Africa said that he not believe in Jesus. So I don't know why me send hear that with himself. So why me send kill off himself like that? Africa say he not believe in Jesus. He not believe in this Jesus thing. And all the explanation that Africa said just now, he said nothing. Mr. Cornelius, the word just simply means followers of Christ. That's a Christian. And right here, I got Bible dictionary. Hear what he say? The disciples, here, the disciples was first called Christians, not Antioch. And just look up Acts 11:26. They were just simply mean followers of Christ. Just like how people follow church, they call them chumpitis. Just like how people follow somebody, they call them that. People call the disciples Christian because they are followers of Christ. Simple, just like that. First, look up Acts 11:26. Okay then.
Thank you so much, caller, for your input here on 1FM 98.9. We are still taking calls, as today is more so of an open discussion where you have that opportunity to call in and speak about some of the things that are happening here in St. Kitts and Nevis. In regards to COVID-19, even though, we've been talking about COVID-19 since March, I did say yesterday that this is not something that I would want to preach or lament on every day, but it is the reality, and it is what is happening, not just here in the region but across the globe, so many persons are dying. So many persons continue to die from this deadly virus, and you would have seen that the CARICOM, the Caribbean community, would have taken a stance. They would have taken an initiative sometime in mid-September to initiate, let me say, a program, something called a travel bubble, the CARICOM travel bubble. However, like the Antigua Prime Minister has said, the bubble has burst because countries that were participating in the bubble are countries that met the requirements. They would have had a number of community spread cases, and so it automatically disqualified them from participating in the CARICOM travel bubble. And just a few days ago, the Prime Minister here in St. Kitts and Nevis announced that we will no longer participate in this bubble. And so it's quite, let me say, unfortunate, because many persons were looking forward to travel within this bubble, but again, it is only for our health and safety, and it's to protect us from this COVID-19 virus and any community spread cases. But we have a caller. Good afternoon, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, good afternoon again. Let's get to this bubble. The bubble didn't burst itself, The bubble did not burst itself. Somebody contributed. Somebody had the pin, somebody pricked the bubble. We still have people thing in the USA. You didn't hear the one for today?
Pardon? 104.
Yeah,
104,000. Yeah.
And I said to myself, there's a lot of people who went to the line up. You can't send in an absentee thing, so you must come line up. Some people were in line for hours. The same thing in the Caribbean. We here put on the mask. If you have a physical problem, you can get exemption. But a lot of us, we're smarter than everybody else, We are a rebellious people. You hear them every day. Nobody could tell me what to do. And some, they ain't gonna corona. Well, if you don't have any and you really want one, you could have gone, Rebellion is what have us. Many people, I'm sure, were planned and might have even gotten approval to travel within the bubble. But you have some people in our country, because when you listen, some of them are local spread. And I'm coming straight to our people now. We have the incident with the taxi men. They were told that they need to put a barrier between them and the visitors. Are you on the radio? What kind of thing is that? Suppose I ask a question, where when you open your mouth, water vapors are coming out. People are asked to do things to protect themselves. And what is our response? That can disfigure my vehicle, and you see what we're getting at? Now, these are people coming from hot spots, most of them, when the plane coming on Saturday. And when we take them on the tour, when you take them on the tour, stand far from them. You're working in the hotels and whatever. Some of them might want to expose you. You have every right to ask them, could you please put on your mask if you're speaking to me? In so many different ways, we compromise our own health and make it difficult for other people. The amount of excuses I hear in this country. You want to know if we are sensible people. Just like in America. Once ago, we thought America was the brightest, the smartest, the whatever is. Until this corona thing come up, pandemic. People out in the road, nothing on, making noise. Some of them gone to march, some gone to protest. No protection. I expected it, didn't you expect this thing after the election? The leader of the country, corona, 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 everything in the mouth is corona. And they're little foolish people. He made sure he got the best treatment.
But as you're saying this, Mrs. Henry, I just saw something here on social media which says that Trump wins lawsuit filed yesterday in Pennsylvania to be granted access to directly observe and inspect each
but
ballot
they said 6
being
feet.
counted.
They said, because they were saying that they were 20 feet, the court said they can stand 6 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So 6 feet and watch. I don't understand politicians, That's why I say I don't want to hear them, As much as I love politics. As much as I love it, I don't want to hear any of them. Now they have their own people trying to break into the place where they're counting. And the so-called leader out there about stop the count, so his people got to try and stop the count. And wherever they think they lose. I mean, he discredited the thing before the election day, It was discredited. Oh, all of these things come in and how much of this and how much of that. I am sure that there are Republicans who voted by mail. But what happened in those counties and states where he won?
Right.
Should they be challenged? We don't think, When we challenge in other constituency, what about the one that you won? And then the ordinary people, hand to mouth like you and I, leave our homes to go and get brutalized by police. In one state, he brought out the guards. Brought out the guards, And those who were saying, count every vote and whatever. While his people marching too, and they don't play it on facts. I love to listen to facts. I don't care nobody say. It is always good to hear the opposite side so you could test what you believe. I love Africa, and Africa is my good friend. I love Africa. Only sometimes I think he gets a bit extreme. I love him. He's a very intelligent man, and he does. I love Greg too, These are people who do research. So whatever side they come up, and at least they took the time to research. But the same thing, he is looking, I said since yesterday, Donald Trump is looking for an excuse to bring out the guard and all the Democrat people marching, and black people fast. Fast, Fast, So, I don't even know what's going on. See, all I am saying to our people, a lot of you still conceited. Oh, Timothy can't tell me nothing. Timothy not my prime minister. And the CMO, I have heard people from reputable position downplay and criticize the CMO. So when we tear down the person and cause people to have doubt and lack of confidence, all of us would pay. All of us. You think the people in Antigua didn't want to come St. Kitts and Bajan? My daughter now said she was looking forward to coming for Christmas.
But I think someone was saying yesterday they had a friend from Antigua that was supposed to come on Wednesday, yesterday.
I'm telling you.
And, because we came out of the travel bubble, they're now being deemed as high risk. So you had a few persons who were lined up to come,
down here and spend 14 days or whatever quarantine.
Yeah.
And you would just come and go by your friend. We have to think beyond ourselves, So all of you conceited people in St. Kitts, Sylvie and Henry, say, put away your pride and think of somebody. Think of me. I mean, maybe some of you won't get with me. But still, think of all the old people you love. Your old mother, your old father. Nowadays, children are all getting it. Think of somebody else. You're going to work in the hotel. If you feel hot, go in an area where nobody is and you could ease it. Oh, this thing has stifled me. So you rather bring it home in your house. And when you come home, I hope you all listen to the training, you know. You can't just walk straight from your job to hug up your child and hug up your mother and so.
Right.
Be considerate. Is you all mash up the bubble? It's not the Prime Minister, nor Mayor Motley, nor Brown in Antigua. It's Antiguans, St. Lucians, Bajans, and we pull out before some of you do it. So I want to encourage you all. I might sound hard, right? I was a teacher, right? So, but I have your best interest at heart. I want, when I put on my radio, I hear you. Now I want to send, before I leave, send birthday greetings to a lady, a good lady. Today is making her 70. She's Mrs. Rubilette Bell of Mansion. Mrs. Bell, happy birthday, and happy birthday to my good friend Bunny, my big labor friend Bunny. Today's Bunny.
So he's a big labor friend?
Look, let me tell you, don't make enemies, you hear me?
Right.
Don't follow them old people. Everybody, no matter whether they're red, yellow, green, brown, or blue, love everybody. You never know who will be there to pull you out of the water. Sending condolences to the family of Oral Colborne. Colborne taught maths at Bastia High School with me. And then he went to work at Social Security for years. And when you stop and you said a lady, she died suddenly or something, Judy Williams.
Yeah, she was electrocuted.
You see what I mean? You see why you must stop. Fight people. Life is short. And all you out there with all kind of God. You better go look. You better go pick up the Bible and read it. Life is short. It is so unfortunate. I send my condolences to the family of the lady. There's no reason for us to hate one another. I don't have enough space in my heart for hate. I have my own sins to confess. Please stop the hate. All of you hating for party. Labour hate Pam and Pam hate Labour. Labour hate PLP and NRP hate TCM and vice versa. What do we get? What do you get out of it? Hating people. And we cuss and we haul down. And nobody call me down. I am too high. I am seated in high places. So, Devonne, you don't, even if you got a they say to you, don't take it personal. Always know yourself. You see, when you come on the show, you know yourself. You know what you do and you know what you ain't do. Whatever you do, you confess, God forgive. So when anybody pulling card on you, say, you got the wrong person. Don't hate nobody. All right then.
Well, thank you so much, caller, for your input. We had a call. We seem to have lost that call. We have a call. Good afternoon, caller. You're on the air. Okay, we seem to have lost that call. Call us back. Good afternoon, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing good, thanks.
Yes, I don't want to derail your discussion today, but I have a question to ask you, and if you're in a position to help me, I'll appreciate it very much. This concerns some poisoning. I heard about it, but fish poisoning, I heard about it, but I was not in a position to really hear the information that was put out by the health authorities or whoever is in that responsible position, nor to research it because, up and down the place and so on, so I wasn't. But I would like to know where this fish poison originates. Is it in Nevis or if it is here? And if it is here at the fisheries, what's the timeline? You understand what I'm asking?
Right.
What was the timeline for when the fish was caught to when it was sold? Was it this week, last week, week before, as the case may be? I would have gone to find out, but since you're here, let me think. So if you know any information about it, could you just keep me up to speed, please? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, caller, for your input here on Voices on 1FM. Now, I do not have the specific details. However, the officials, the CMO would have issued an alert reporting that there were 15 cases of fish poisoning, and it was through a program where I think the fish was being sourced by the fisheries at the fisheries complex, and the fish was being sold to Rams, where they had a fresh fish program or something like that. And so the CMO said that the 15 cases of fish poisoning, they were reported to the General Hospital and the Mary Charles Hospital during the last 5 weeks. And she did say that, this is quite significant, and so that is why they are bringing it to the public's attention. She said that Bird Rock, 3 persons from Bird Rock, and followed by Tabernacle and Phillips's Village. And 80% of the total cases presented with vomiting. 60% of the cases presented with diarrhea, and 27% of the cases presented with lethargy. The CMO explained that at the press briefing. And so, again, I do not have the specific details. I would urge you to contact the Department of Marine Resources, and I think they would be able to provide the specific details of that development. We are continuing to take calls here on 1FM 98.9, and we are winding down to the 1:30 end time. It is just 1:21, and we are still taking your calls. Quite an open discussion. We're here, we're there, we're here, we're there. U.S. election, St. Vincent election, where Ralph Gonsalves is asking the people to send him back to government to serve another term. If that does happen, history will be made where he will be serving for prime ministership for 25 years. But we have a call. Good afternoon, caller. You're on Voices. We seem to have lost that call. Caller, feel free to call us back here at 1FM 98.9. And so in St. Vincent, rather than saying, look, send me back to government. Send me back to government. Some are of the strong opinion that the new Democratic Party would win government in SVG. But we're looking on. The people in St. Kitts and Nevis are looking on, and we're waiting to see what is going to happen down there. Ralph, and here they say Gaston Brown. Ralph Gonsalves is 74 years old. He is 74 years old. And so if he wins this election, he will be about 80 and still the prime minister. But we have a call. Good afternoon, caller. You're on the air.
Hi, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mr. Cornelius.
Good afternoon, sir. You're on the air.
All right, good. To weigh in on some issues relating to the comments that Africa usually makes. Africa speaks as though he's full of the authority. He has all the authority and information to this. Both Bible and right man and some of the historical information of it. But Africa thinks that he's the only person that has this kind of information. And I just want him to know that saying is just legend. They're not proven facts. Right? And I don't mind discussing this with him anytime. Right? Because I have the same information here. Right? And so a lot of the information he's given are not proven facts. They're just legends. They've never been proven. I just want to be clear. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, caller, for your input here on the Voices on 1FM 98.9. And so, yes, you're talking about, the elections in St. Vincent, and Ralph is saying that he wants to go back to government. However, Godwin Friday is saying, look, make me prime minister. Make me prime minister. We are still looking at what's happening in Jamaica. Lisa Hanna and Mark Golden, they are battling for leadership of the People's National Party. I think that is on Saturday, November 7th, is when they're going to have their internal elections. And Dr. Dr. Dayton Campbell would have said that the party can run power water, and if you don't have any money, you cannot be the leader of the party. However, Mark Golden came back and said, well, that is not really the case of what he was trying to say. He's just saying that, as a political leader of any party, you must have access to some sort of resources, so that you could fund the party and you could make sure that your party is in good standing. But Dr. Campbell would have said that Mr. Golden has access to the private sector. He has a good relationship with the private sector, and he believes that this person should be the political leader of the People's National Party. However, I would have been following Lisa Hanna's social media pages, in particular her Facebook page, and a poll was issued where it shows that she is leading significantly in that poll. And so we are waiting to see what is going to happen there in Jamaica in the PNP. But we have a call. Good afternoon, caller. You're on the air.
Hi, good afternoon. Question: if Ralph Gonzal wins again, would this be his fifth term or his sixth term? Because I think he was running on the same thing with Dr. Douglas.
Fifth. It would be his fifth term.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, caller, for your input here on 1FM 98.9 Voices. Yes, it would be his fifth term if he wins the election today. It will be his fifth term. Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, the current Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And so we are waiting to see what is going to happen down there. We are looking to see what is going to happen in Jamaica between Lisa Hanna and Mark Golden. Some of the I remember listening to a clip from Dr. Campbell where he said some of the delegates who are going to vote in the internal elections, that they would want money to vote. I guess maybe he didn't mean it, but I think he's just trying to say, the nature of elections now and how things are really changing. 10 years ago, you had political parties across the region spending thousands, maybe millions. But those monies, they were being spent on bringing people to vote. Now those monies are being spent on the people who are here. When I say here, I don't mean St. Kitts and Nevis alone, but I mean in the different countries. So you're now seeing a thing, with COVID-19, of course, all the monies would have been pumped into, those persons who are on the ground. And so we're looking to see what's going to happen down in SVG. We're waiting to see what's going to happen in Jamaica. And we're absolutely anticipating really looking on to see what is going to take place in the great United States of America, because many persons, many Caribbean nationals I know, they are rooting hard for Joe Biden, and very few are rooting for Mr. Trump. But as I would have said, and I'm going to say it, they told him just alike. They told him they just alike. They told him they one is not better than the other. One is not better than the other. I think people have this mindset this notion that Joe Biden is God and Donald Trump is the devil. I don't believe that is the case. I don't believe that is the case. Yeah, Donald Trump would have made some terrible comments about black people, but Joe Biden did it as well. And so I wish them all the best in their elections, and we are going to wrap up this edition of Voices for Thursday, November 5, and we are definitely going to continue these discussions when we return. A lot of things are really happening, and I would just want to close by saying to our listeners, be safe. Be safe out there and take care of yourself and continue to work hard. To our frontline workers at the ports, airports, the hospitals and medical centers, continue to do your part in helping to protect St. Kitts and Nevis from the COVID-19 virus, and of course, to all of the other frontline workers. This was Voices on Wind FM 98.9 for Thursday, November 5th, and I was your host, Devonne Cornelius. Until next time,